Thanks very much, Damon. So my name is Tony Tomarchio. I'm the Director of Technical Operations at AWWE. And my talk here today is going to be about developing web AR experiences with our product AWWE Web. And I'm really excited to be here today because at AWWE, we believe that AR is for everybody. So it's not just for the folks who have the fancy glasses or the headsets or the latest and greatest iOS or Android device. Every one of you has a cell phone in your pocket. Every one of those phones has a standard web browser that can do things like JavaScript and WebGL and standard technologies that are just accessible to everybody. And our goal is to make it easy so that anybody can develop and create experiences so that people can launch web AR experiences, and we can do this on the web. And we also want anybody to be able to view this, again, not just through the latest and greatest apps and the latest and greatest devices. So in the talk today, I'm going to give you an overview of the technology. I'm going to show you some examples of brands and agencies who have launched web AR experiences with AWWE. I'll show you how you can get started and create web AR experiences for yourself today, and then we'll wrap things up. So we're all here. There's 7,000 plus people at AWWE this year, and we're all here because we believe that AR is here and it's coming in a big way. But in order for it to be ubiquitous and for everybody to experience it, there are still a lot of challenges that we need to overcome. The first thing is that it's a pretty segmented ecosystem out there, right? You've got lots of different devices. You've got lots of different SDKs. It's just a challenge in order to build these types of technologies and these experiences. It's also hard to discover this, right? Today, the way that you typically would experience AR is you're going to download an app. And you've got to find that app in the App Store, and that in and of itself has a number of challenges. And then secondly, the inability to share these types of experiences really curbs virality here. You might find a really cool app that you like. You send a link to your friend. That person's phone maybe doesn't support ARKit or ARCore. They can't run that app. Now, if this was a link to a web page, and they can click on that link in the text message or click a button in an email or on a web page, it takes them right there. Everybody can experience this content. So the way that AWWE solves this is, first of all, we allow developers to quickly create and publish AR content using one of many different web platforms. So if you look out there, most people know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? This is just an extension of that to now easily create experiences that can live on your own website, your client's website, using standard web technologies here. This is all fully customizable and fully interactive, right? So you can create experiences that deal with swipes and taps and surfaces and image recognition, again, all in your standard web browser. And finally, no app required. I mean, that's probably one of the most exciting things is it's really hard, and we get this feedback all the time from brands and agencies, that it's really hard to get people to actually download and use your app, right? And if they do that once, maybe then they delete it. Whereas if they can go to a web page, view a product, click a button that says view this thing in AR, add it to their cart, or click a banner ad that launches a web AR advertisement, there's no barrier to accessing this content anymore because it's already just in the web browser that they're already using and are accustomed to. Okay, so we're going to dive in and talk a little bit more about the tech. So what we have here is a product called AWWE Web. And again, these are fully immersive, customizable web AR experiences that you can create that runs directly in your web browser, no app needed. So here's a little portal example, where you have a portal placed on the surface in front of you. You walk into the portal and you kind of get this 360 view. We have an example of doing something like this up on our GitHub page if you wanted to create this for yourself. So this is new and exciting stuff. The way that we did this is we built our own SLAM engine. So AWWE's been around for about 2.5 years, and as a company, we started out first by writing our own SLAM engine from the ground up. And this was pre-ARKit, pre-ARCore. So about a year ago or so, we did a lot of work to really highly optimize the SLAM engine and re-architect key pieces of this so that it runs and performs well, in using standards, compliant JavaScript and WebGL that just about every browser supports. So our SLAM engine supports features like, comparable to ARKit, things like 6-DoF camera tracking, point cloud and hit tests, lighting estimation, We actually also provide instant surfaces. So unlike what you might be used to where you wave your phone back and forth for a few seconds, with 8th Wall and our web tech, you can open up to a camera feed and you can have content immediately placed on that surface, whether it's the ground or the table. It can just appear right away, and you get users experiencing and interacting with your content just that much quicker. Again, it's all about lowering the barrier to entry to experience this content. And our most recent update, our release 11, is where we introduced a much requested feature of image detection and image tracking. So this could be a poster that's up on the wall that you want to point your phone at and have that trigger some type of an experience or unlock some content. Or this could be maybe a business card that you hold in your hand and you wave this thing around and it tracks your image target as it moves. So it supports static or moving image targets as well. So we have all these features packaged up as basically a JavaScript library that you would include as a script tag in the web page that you're building. So we made it really easy to incorporate these features into your web experiences. Now, when you're building an AR experience, you're going to need things like probably physics and 3D and rendering. And rather than reinvent the wheel for a lot of this, we've integrated our AR tech in some of the most popular JavaScript 3D frameworks that are out there. So we currently support A-Frame, which was originally intended as a web VR kind of technology. But as you'll see here later in the presentation today, I'll show you how to take an A-Frame project and literally change 3 lines, and the result will be a full web AR experience. So we'll go through that here today. We also support 3JS. A-Frame is actually built on top of 3JS. We support Babylon.js, and we also support Amazon Sumerian. So I'll show you some examples that were built with most of these platforms here that were launched by various brands. Okay, so in addition to our SLAM engine and our image recognition technology and our camera pipeline framework that allows you to insert other computer vision tech into this overall solution if needed, we also have a management console. And this is where you can create and manage your web apps. You can create a web app. You can look at information about usage over time, how many people have viewed this thing. You can manage image targets. You can also, you can manage your team and invite others in your organization or your development team to access different resources. And you can also manage your plans and your billing all through this centralized console. And I mentioned also you can also manage the image targets if you want to do image detection. As part of a web AR experience, you can just upload those to the console, manage them, decide how you want things cropped. If you want them enabled or disabled, you can do that all through this 8th Wall console here. We also provide you an easy way to, we call these 8th Wall embeds. So let's say you're building a page and you want to make it really easy to click a button and launch an AR experience. So we have these embeds where the way that this works is if you arrive at this page on your mobile device and you click the button, it'll just launch you into your AR view. Now, if you happen to view this thing on a desktop device, what happens is it gives you a little pop-up like what you can see there on the screen, and it'll either tell you, okay, here's a little short link, just either type this in on your phone, or you just scan it with the QR code and it'll take you there. So if you end up on a device that this doesn't run on like a desktop computer, this makes it really easy to get people at the content again that you want them to see. Again, lowering the barriers to entry and access here. Also, we have image recognition tech, as I mentioned before. So here's a demo you might have seen if you have seen some of our Twitter feeds or some of the YouTube videos that we put up there. So here's a case. This is actually a walking path near our office, and there's this ocean mural, and we're using one of the fish in that mural as an image target. So once that image is detected, it actually comes to life, and you can use a combination of both our image recognition tracking as well as our SLAM tracking. So you can achieve things like, let's say I have a movie poster on the wall, and I scan, and I want to use the movie poster to activate a certain character. So my character jumps out of the movie poster, but now I don't want to necessarily have to keep that movie poster in view. So I can have that character jump on the ground, our SLAM engine takes over, and the character can just be walking on the surface in front of you. So you can do markerless, marker-based experiences, or even these hybrid experiences. So you have a lot of flexibility when it comes to what you're actually able to create with 8th Wall here. And we also have some templates. This is something we refer to as our AR camera, where you can take a 3D model, simply upload it into our web interface, drag a few sliders, such as how big you want the model to be, movement speed. You can control some of the different interaction modes, whether you want to tap to drag and hold, whether you want to tap to move, things like that. It supports models with multiple animations, or you can upload multiple models and switch between them as well. So this is a great prototyping tool. Before you get too involved, if you have a 3D model, you want to just check out, well, how would this thing look in an AR view? This is a great way to do that without any coding. So a very quick and easy way to accomplish that. Okay. So now that you're able to do this on the web, I mean, the possibilities are endless here, right? You can use this for education. Well, you've seen a number of entertainment experiences. Here you can see a Spider-Man example for the most recently launched Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse movie. E-commerce, so viewing products in the user space. Advertising, this is a Heineken campaign for the Champions League here. So many different use cases, mobile ads. It can all now just be incorporated with other web technologies that you might already be using. Think of this more as this is a new feature of your website as opposed to re-architecting things and starting from scratch, right? You can add AR views. You can add AR experiences to the existing web experiences that you have today. Okay, so I'm going to spend a couple minutes and take you through a handful of experiences that were launched and powered by 8th Wall by various brands and agencies. Let's jump in here. So a lot of big names, a lot of big brands that are powered by 8th Wall here in our web technology. The first one, as I mentioned, was Sony Pictures actually launched 2 Spider-Man related experiences. This first one, we'll play a video, you can kind of see what's going on here, but this was created by Trigger Global. This was a combination of 8th Wall and Amazon Sumerian as the engine powering this. And this was launched along with the movie release here. So you see, you open to a camera feed, you tap to play Spider-Man in your space. He's got some animations. You can take, it's got a photo mode where you can take a picture and then share that. So there we go. There's the snap and save photo feature of this. So this was something that was launched back in the fall. Okay, so that went really well, and Sony Pictures decided to do a second web AR experience, but this time to coincide with the release of the DVD. So this is something you could experience in Walmart stores where they were selling the DVDs. Go up to the packaging, scan a QR code, and it takes you into a new Spider-Man experience. And this one, you can select from multiple different characters, from like Gwen to Miles to the Spider-Man character. And when you play this, and this one, Spider-Man or Gwen is doing what they call the wall crawl.
Is it selfie time?
So again, you're placing a 3D model with animations and sounds. It's interacting with the physical space around you, and you can take photos and share this with your friends. This one was created by our partners at Ignite, and this one was using a combination of 8th Wall and A-Frame this time. Okay, so let's move on. This one was done by Miller Lite. This was a St. Patrick's Day related experience. So you could either take the classic Miller Lite can that you kind of see in the screenshot at the top, or they also released these St. Patrick's Day themed cans with like a leprechaun character on the front. And this one, again, was created by Trigger Global with Amazon Sumerian and also our partners at Genie, who they're actually giving the next talk here, Luca Genie. This was created where it used the logo or the can as an unlock mechanism. It's not tracking off that, but it uses that to detect that the can was there. It gives you the indicator that, okay, now you can tap to place this character. You tap on a surface. It places this leprechaun character, and he's got some different animations. He drinks a beer, he plays this flute, he pulls a snake out of his beard. And again, you can take photos and share this with your friends. So this was a fun experience. I think he's got one more animation left here. And here we go. So I guess you just keep a snake in your beard for safekeepings. I don't know. OK. British Gas, another 8th Wall user here. So this was done for an Easter campaign. This was actually tied to their membership rewards program. So they sent this out to all of their members. And this experience involves a little Easter egg hunt with their mascot, Wilbur. And at the end, if you collect all the eggs, then you basically were entered in to win a prize. It would tell you if you won something in that experience. So let me show you what that looks like here. So this was built by the folks at Spark Labs using a combination of 8th Wall, Web, and A-Frame. So here we've got the character. He's walking around on the ground. You tap, he moves over, he picks up the eggs go into the basket. And once you've collected all 3, you get a little spinning wheel kind of thing, and it tells you what prize you've won. And this was all, again, because this is now on the web, this was all integrated with their existing membership rewards web portal, basically. So there we go. And we won a tasty 2-for-1 meal, so that's good. OK, Lego. So here, this was actually like an ad tied to an ad unit that they ran. And when you would click on this ad, it would play a video and launch this experience related to their Lego City line of products here. So we've got some kind of 80s Knight Rider style music here. This was created by Hoopla Digital, and this was done using 8th Wall and 3JS. So this was kind of an ad, but a mini game at the same time, where you could interact with the different vehicles. Here you've got a little storyline. It's saying call for backup. You can tap to make the motorcycle go faster. You can call in air support. There's a fire truck that'll show up eventually, and you tap to spray water and knock over the motorcycle rider. Again, so this is leveraging surface placement, interactions, swipes, taps, animations, and all that good stuff. OK. Swiss Air. So Coffee was the agency who created this one, and this was another ad unit for Swiss Air, highlighting the flight experience. Where here you can see this on a web page. If somebody clicks on that ad, they ask you for camera access. You tap to place, and a flight attendant appears along with a door to the airplane. And you can either tap on this, or you can walk up to it. And when you get close enough, it basically then transforms you into like a 360 viewer type view, all driven by 8th Wall here as well. You can inspect the cabin. They have hotspots. You can learn more about the flight experience. And this was just another example of like a mobile web AR ad unit. So pretty effective here. OK. And then there's the AWWE portal hunt, which you hopefully have seen around the building here today. So here is Tom Emmerich tweeted this yesterday, where he's kind of showing his experience. You'll see these different portals around the event. You go up, type in the URL, or scan the QR code. It takes you directly to the experience. Here, some of them are using image recognition, some of them are using SLAM, some are using both. This is an example where you point your phone at this portal. It opens up a portal into this other dimension. And in this case, you're basically rotating these conduits to connect the circuit, and they all line up as yellow. So there are 10 of these located around the Expo. Go out there, find them, scan the QR code, launch these experiences, complete the challenge, and you get entered to win. You're entered in a raffle to win some prizes here. So definitely, it's a pretty fun experience that you should definitely take advantage of while you're here at AWWE this week. We have a GitHub repo. So if you haven't seen this, definitely check it out, github.com/8thwall/web. This is a great resource. We've got getting started guides, getting started projects. We have lots of example projects to help you get started. We have A-Frame, 3JS, Babylon.js, Sumerian, and also image target examples. And they're broken down into a lot of bite-sized chunks for certain features that people commonly ask for, like surface placement. So here we have our tap to place example, where you just tap and you grow trees all over your room. We have ones where you swipe to throw a tomato, manipulate 3D models we have a portal example. We have one where you can pinch to zoom, rotate, and scale. We have animation examples. This is a great place to go, to figure out how to do some of these things, or kind of combine them together and create something custom. Use them as a starting point, build on them from there. So definitely check that out if you haven't done so already. I'll talk about this a little bit more later, but we also have this library we call XR Extras. This is really handy because this helps you deal with certain things like loading screens and almost there workflows, where if you happen to try to view this thing on a browser that maybe doesn't have camera access, it'll tell you what's going on as opposed to just give you an error message. So it makes it really easy to understand what's going on and give you these nice flows for the end user, where if something does go wrong, it tells them how to get back to the right place and experience this. And then also we have a little serve script utility that just makes it easy to develop and test locally and just test it against your local laptop, as opposed to dealing with pushing things up to web servers and all of that. So definitely check that out. Okay, so how do you get started? Really easy. Just go to our website. Go to eighthwall.com. If you haven't already created an account, sign up and create an account today. You'll be presented with the Eighthwall console, and this is where you can create and manage your web AR experiences. For example, you see that purple button that I've highlighted in red? That's probably the first thing you'll do. You go in there, you create a web app, you give it a name, and then towards the right you see like an app key string. You'll need that later. You'll paste that into your HTML page to basically activate our library there. You can also see a graph towards the bottom left where you can look at usage over time. Towards the right, there's a button where you can manage image targets if that's what you want to do for this experience. You can upload and enable and disable image targets. You can associate metadata with these if you want to have extra information that your web app can deal with. And we also have a really nice image target testing tool where if you upload an image, you can test that to see how well it behaves, right? If you upload an image that is plain white and has very low number of features, that can be hard to detect. So you can test out these images and see if they're good candidates for tracking or not before you get too far down the road. So it's definitely a handy tool. You can also manage your billing as well. We also allow you to generate what we call 8 codes. So again, this is a web AR experience. Step number 1 is you need to get somebody to the URL where this thing lives, right? So you can put a button on your website, a link in an email. You can have them type in a URL, but most people understand that if I just scan this QR code, it's going to take me to that experience. So you can have the Eighthwall console generate these QR codes for you as well. And this is where you can also access the code if you want to use those embed links. Click that button and get the code you put in your page. Okay. And then also, if you're just doing local testing and development, you're on the free plan to get started, you need to authorize your phone in order to view a web AR experience. You click that, it basically installs a dev cookie on your device, and now you can start testing these things out. Okay. So what I'm going to show you now is kind of how we can take an existing A-frame example, and it's the simple one. It's the first thing you're going to see if you go to the A-frame website, and how in 3 steps we can take that, what was previously a web VR type experience, convert that into an Eighthwall-powered web AR experience. Okay, so if you go to start with aframe.io, the first thing you're going to see is this little sample project. They call it Hello Web VR. This is like their hello world, where you have this scene, you've got a couple of primitives, and if I view this on my phone, this is basically what you see. Like you've got 3DOF, camera motion, you can rotate it, and not too exciting here. Well, what does it take to now convert this into a full web AR experience with camera feed, the ability to place this content in the surface in front of me, and view it from all angles? So very simple. So if you downloaded the HTML code for that example from A-frame, it's 18 lines of HTML. It's very simple. You've got a script tag up at the top that includes the A-frame library, and then you have your A scene. You've got a camera, a box, a sphere, a cylinder, and a plane. Pretty basic here. So how do you ARify this, if you will? First thing you're going to do, we have a slightly modified version of A-frame we call 8-frame, which just has a couple of polish things, like you don't get that little VR headset logo thing, which doesn't make sense when you're holding this on a phone. Some polish items like that. you're going to include that script tag. Secondly, you're going to include a script tag to pull down the 8th wall library. And on the right, you see an app key equals, and there's a long string. So that's where you would take that app key your app key you saw on the console, just paste it there. In our sample projects, they're all X's, and you just replace the X's with your app key. So we've modified basically 2 lines here. And the third and final one is on our ascene, we added XR web component to our ascene tag. What this does is basically it activates the 8th wall features, and by putting that there, you now get the camera feed as the background, you've got 6-off camera motion, you've got instant surface placement. That's it. Now you have a full web AR experience. Let me show you what that looks like. So now this is the base A-frame project plus 8th wall web, just making those small changes here. So I come to the page, I click allow to get camera access, and now I have that same scene, but it's placed on the floor in my living room here, and I can walk around it and see it from all different angles. So very easy to get started. Now, if you really want to get fancy, maybe you want to add a loading screen or a spinning logo while things are getting set up here. So that's where that XR extras library that I mentioned comes into play. So add another script tag, pull down XR extras, and I added a couple of different components. So XR extras handles things like loading screens, almost there workflows, if runtime error handling, and things like that. This library you can use as is. All of the source code for this is on our GitHub repo. You can customize it and build your own version of XR extras, or you can just override some things. So if we include that, now this is a little bit different. Rather than seeing the content there before things have initialized, I have this nice loading screen. Again, you can customize all this if you need to. And I have a spinning 8 logo that's going to disappear once things have initialized. And now I've got my experience here. OK. So we've got a couple of minutes left here. So some takeaways here. Again, 8th wall web, full interactive web AR experiences in your browser. Basically, as long as your browser has get user media, meaning camera access, WebGL, WebAssembly, and device orientation, that's all that the browser needs. And pretty much all browsers have that here today. Check out our documentation, docs.8thwall.com/web. Again, go to the GitHub page, download sample projects. We have a Slack channel, which now I think is well over 1,000 members now. So if you have questions, this is a great place to go to get answers. Ask a question there. You'll either get an answer from somebody at 8th wall, or oftentimes another developer in the 8th wall community will help you out and ask and answer the questions for you as well. We have a lot of tutorials online. We also have a YouTube channel. So a lot of places to go to get more information, to ask questions, to get help, and to get started here. So with that, if you want, we have one of the demos that's on our website. This is our Genie robot. You can scan that QR code, play with it for yourself, or go to 8thwall.com, and right there on the home page, there's a Try It For Yourself button, and play around with that on your own phone within your standard web browser. And with that, just want to thank everybody for their time.